Hey everyone, this is Frugal Panda here with a review and tour of the Knights of the Templar Castle in Tomar, Portugal. As you can see, we actually drove there. We rented a car the whole time. Now, before we even get started, roaming around the castle on the outside is totally free, meaning you can go up on the actual castle walls and walk around for free. It only costs when you go inside, and I would recommend going inside also because they've done a really good job of maintaining this castle and also restoring it, which they're currently doing. You'll be amazed by a lot of the stuff on the inside also. So, but the outside is really cool. Like if you don't want to spend the money this day, you can walk around and just check out the exterior. There's hiking trails. Look at the outside of this castle. It's like amazing. It was also a convent too, so a lot of its history was also a convent. But this was built in the 12th century for the Knights of the Templars, which would be dissolved later on and become the Order of the Christ, which answered directly to the King of Portugal. This day was a foggy day here, but don't let this fool you. It was not cold if you're from like a colder climate. It was like at least the high 50s, maybe 60. It was not cold. I did not bring a coat to Portugal, to be honest with you. I brought a rain jacket, and it was honestly so nice here. The weather was great. Just breathing the air was so fresh here. Beautiful views. So getting back to the exterior, so you can walk around the exterior. There's also hiking trails that you can take and walk around in different areas, wherever it takes you out into the wooded areas around this castle, which are beautiful too. I saw people out walking with their dogs, you know, things like that. It was beautiful. It really is. It's a really beautiful place to go check out. And it's awe-inspiring, especially if you're like me and you have a love of history. And the Templars are a very interesting group with a long history in their impact and how they influenced a lot of Western civilization of the past. And this castle is huge. It's like really huge. But like I said, you'll see in the video, we walk around on the actual exterior walls, the outer walls of this castle. You can get up there, take the stairs up, and walk around them. There was not a lot of people. This is probably the off season more than anything, and this was recorded in late December, early January. There was a few people out here and there. As far as English, because we don't speak Portuguese. If you go inside, it's no problem. People speak Portuguese also. Excuse me, people speak English, so it's not a big deal. So don't worry about that. And it was actually simple, just like going around a lot of Portugal. You can use English. If you know Portuguese, it's a great thing. But if you don't, there's plenty of things to do in this area, and especially going around this castle. If you saw in my video, you saw a lettering for WC. When you see WC in Portugal, that's usually an identifier for where the bathrooms are, women and men. So they had an exterior bathroom, and it points right to it. So there's bathrooms right when you get there. Also, if you do pay to go inside, there's bathrooms in there for people that are interested in that. Then, you know, if you're going a long road trip up here, which it really didn't take that long to get here. Portugal's not a large country, so it's very manageable. With that being said, also with this, coming through the city of Tomar, it was really cool. They have a cafeteria up here on the side of the Templars castle that you can go eat at. I personally wouldn't recommend it. I'd recommend going back into Tomar itself and parking downtown, which you have to drive through to come to the castle. It's real easy to get through, so don't get worried about it. Find you a spot to park, pull over, and pick one of those restaurants. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the cafeteria food, but if you're at the castle, go experience the actual town itself too of Tomar. It's been here for ages, and you can look down from the actual outer walls and see the city of Tomar, which is a fair decent size. We don't do resorts. We like to literally go places, rent a car, or do where we take public transportation, actually experience living in those countries, interacting with people. It's not to say we live in the countries or we're experts on it or anything like that, but you don't get a real good feel for a country if you don't interact outside of a resort where people are paid to like you. So, and what I can say about Tomar, it was cool. One of the restaurants we did go to, no one really spoke English, and we were still able to get food with no issues. And some people spoke it just enough. As you get outside of the larger cities, there's not going to be as many people to speak English, but there's usually always someone that speaks English. We had no problems. Trust me, guys, no problems. As far as driving to get here, real simple. Went through the middle of Tomar. It tells you where to go, and you drive right up there, and you go up to the castle, and there's parking. You park there, and you walk up to the castle. It's real basic, or you can park up closer to the castle. Take your pick. Is this handicap accessible? That's a good question. I really can't answer. I did see ramps and stuff here and there. The castle itself, if you got mobility issues, just be very mindful, especially if it's wet outside. A lot of the cobblestones and stuff like that can be slippery. You be the judge of that. But even if you don't go into it and you just want to get a view of it and see it, it's just awe-inspiring to actually see this piece of 12th century history that impacted Western civilization in the way it did. Is pretty amazing. Look at this. This was all free, everyone. Like I said, this ride I'm doing right now is free. And it's beautiful. And you got to, you have to pinch yourself sometimes. You're up at these heights and you're on this castle wall to realize you're at a World Heritage Site. This castle was an important piece of Portuguese history. It became many things over the centuries, but it was a Templar castle at first. If people that play video games, remember if you know Assassin's Creed and all that, and those type of videos based on the Templars and all that, you get a good vibe of this. You're like, holy crap, this is like really real. Anyway, Tomar, this area is beautiful. The car we rented for the whole time we were there was called a VW Polo, and it's like a Golf, looks exactly like a Golf, but I think it's a little bit smaller. Do not get a large car if you go there. Get you a smaller car. You'll thank me later. It's so easy to park anywhere you want to go. So we drove up here with no problems. Tomar was a cool little city, lots of little shops, gift shops. There's a gift shop on site if you actually go into the castle itself, if you want to buy a couple of things. Everything is in euros. Euro at this time was $1.06 is worth $1.06 in dollars. So it was worth more than, say, an actual dollar. But the prices were cheap. And so it was no problem with that. The prices are fair in Portugal. So that's the thing, is the key to it, especially if you're coming from America, is the cost of the tickets. But once you get here, prices are fair. And a lot of times, I'm going to tell you this, it's a lot cheaper over there than it is here in Portugal itself. And bang for buck or bang for euro, what you get for living in Portugal and what you can see in Portugal, hands down. I understand my time over there. I totally get it why people move to Portugal. The pace of life is slower. Even in Lisbon, you can look at people, you can talk to people, you can interact with people, and you can tell they have a pretty good life. They have a good life. The food is excellent. It's healthier, but it's excellent. When we put healthy, and healthy usually doesn't go with good food a lot of times. No. It's better food, but it's healthier food. The chocolate's better. All those things are better. We went here. Where am I going to see a Templar a castle in America? I'm knocking America. I'm from here. I'm a Army veteran, so someone get on here and try and say all this and that. No. Don't even try it. I already served my country. I'm just letting you know, especially for us that are chasing peace in our life. And you people out there that are thinking about that, are looking for peace in your life, this is a place, this country, you got good food. You got naturally organic food. You got the ocean all around you. You see tons of couples. You see older people. You see younger people. And I'll do a whole video on my full review of Portugal. It's super diverse, super safe, super safe. I went to one of the worst neighborhoods. I had to find it. And we went to it actually on accident, and I said, wait a minute, this looks a little more ran down. It was supposed to be the worst neighborhood, and it made like the news and stuff outside of Portugal. Man, there were so many tourists there. It was chill. It was cool because they decriminalized drugs. So you're going to get convicted if it's drug trafficking, stuff like that, bringing stuff in. But beyond that, man, it was good. Coming up here to Tomar, going to this castle on this foggy day, the drive itself is better than any antidepressant you could probably ever take, to be honest with you. And then you get here and you're like, holy mackerel, look at all this. Just look at this. And anything grows here, by the way. Everywhere you go, there's an orange tree, banana tree, limes, a lot of lime, lemon trees, stuff like that. And I'm like, holy smokes. And like I said, this is probably the off season for tourism, but this was pretty cool. Would I recommend this to anybody, people out here that are going to visit Portugal? Yes, go see this. I mean, this is a big piece of history. Templar castles? like the headquarters. This wasn't just a Templar castle, everyone. This was the headquarters of the Templars. This was their headquarters. And you get to walk around along the walls, walk around a piece of real history that stood since the 12th century. You also go down and see the convent. There's the convent that you can go view too, which is pretty cool. So you can do that one too. So that's another thing you can do. Now, like I said, be careful with the stairs and everything. If it's wet outside, just they put rails and everything up for you. Of course, the rails aren't really there for us beyond, I mean, wasn't built originally there, but they're there to keep you safe and stuff. If you've got mobility issues, like I said, just be mindful, use common sense. You know what you can do and what you really shouldn't be doing. Just be mindful, be careful. But I saw a lot of older people doing this too, and some of them did have mobility issues, but they weren't going to be stopped from seeing the Templars themselves, or the Templar castle itself. But just look at all that, just history. Archers sitting in those towers, you know, all types of stuff. Like, wow, beautiful. Like I said, from the ramparts or the exterior wall of the fortress, the castle, you can see down into Tomar itself. Tomar is a fairly sizable city right here, so it's got everything you need in it. I like Tomar. I thought it was really cool. Like I said, driving around, coming up to the castle, you go through downtown Tomar. And I started seeing in Portugal a lot of similarities, the same as you'd see similarities in, say, the downtown areas of cities and towns. There's similarities with Portuguese cities and towns. And okay, this is clearly the downtown. It might have like a little city center. There's similarities in how they're designed, the same as, like I said, in the United States and probably other countries in regards you go to towns and cities. And if you've been to one, you got an idea of, okay, this is Main Street, as we'd call it here. So driving through Tomar, I could say, okay, this is Main Street. So clearly this is Main Street. Okay, this is where all the shops are. You can camp. Oh my God. You can go shopping. You might catch an Aldi's on your way into the actual downtown. So don't worry about the drive actually getting to the castle itself. You can get a good idea if you drive slowly through it, or maybe stop before you get to the castle, some places you may want to go eat after you're done with looking around the castle. And right now there's a big restoration process going on with the castles. So certain parts, as you can see right there, they got them like covered up and they're doing some work, and it looks like some serious work on this castle. I really like about Portugal is they try and retain their history, and they're holding on to their history in regards to like restoring a lot of it. You see old houses or old buildings here, we would most of the time tear them down after a certain amount of time, unless they were claimed to be historical sites. But a lot of stuff is torn down for more modern looks. Portugal does a good amount of mixing young and new. So I've seen buildings that are old, like, oh, they're going to tear that down. No, they don't. You'll see a building similar to the building you just saw that was in, say, bad shape, and they've already gutted it. They're not going to tear it down because the bones, it was built to last. So the bones are good on it. They're basically just restoring this. So you can look at a house out here, for example, and it may look a lot older, but their houses will look older. Like, and you're talking houses hundreds of years old, or buildings hundreds of years old, but they'll have character to them because this is a lot wetter climate too. So they kind of they get different discoloration, stuff like that. But then say you go in that house or that building and it's super modern on the inside, but the outside makes you feel like, when you're walking around some of these neighborhoods or this, the Tomar area or anything, that you're walking through a piece of history. And I think that's really important. As you can see, here is the gates. Yeah. Like I said, this was a super, for me and my spouse and my son, for us, this actual walking around the castle grounds, which are huge, as I said earlier, were nothing. Going up the hills and stuff were nothing. Because even though this is a real hilly area, Portugal itself is a low altitude country in comparison to Colorado. And what I mean by that, where I'm from, where I live in the Mile High City. So we live thousands of, above sea level. So you can, if you're not from these type of areas, you could easily run out of breath pretty quickly. So going through here ourselves, it was so easy. Like, it's like we weren't even breathing hard. But it depends on where you're from. You see all these stairs. There's lots of stairs. This is just one of the trails that goes around the castle itself, but there's other trails you can take that take you to other places. It's telling you where the convent is and all that stuff. I think it was the Convent of Christ. I believe that's what it's saying. And that's old, too. That's really old historical site, too. As I said before, this is a World Heritage Site, everyone. We try in any country we go to, or if there's a state, too, we try and hit the World Heritage Sites. And none of them ever disappointed. From this one, the Templars Castle, to we went to Nara and saw the giant Buddhas in Japan, in that area, in Nara, Japan. They're always amazing. Look at this. This is the interior. This is where you pay. Now, you have to pay to come in here. And it was like 15 euros, I want to say. Since my son is a certain age, we got the student, so it was like $3, 3 euros for him, stuff like that. There's a real cool actual gift shop in here if you're interested in it too, to check out. I think there's like 2 different gift shops. There's like a really expensive one, and then there's just like the regular one. So, but like I said, take your kids here. Be careful. So these middle parts, like the central plaza, where I'm turning, where they usually got a fountain in the middle, be very careful if it's wet out there. It's just a type of tiles and stuff that they put in there. Back in the day, when this was being built, or what was historically accurate, they're really slick. So be careful so you don't fall. So like where I'm pointing down into right here, looks can be deceiving. Walking on that, be very careful with that. I recommend, if you come to Portugal, bring you a decent pair of walking or hiking shoes, running shoes. I like running shoes, so keep you some running shoes. And what I didn't do, which I wish I had, then bring you a pair of decent hiking shoes or boots, but lightweight. Don't bring anything super heavy, but something that, like, if you wanted to go out for dinner or something like that, you don't look like you're about to go climb the Swiss Alps or something, But like this area I'm walking into, when it gets wet, it can get really slick. But this was amazing. I would say pay the money and go in and check out the interior. The paintings, the drawings, the statues, all the stuff in here is a World Heritage Site, and it's amazing just how they mixed all this and how the Templars Castle was converted into a variety of different things over its history from the 12th century. And what's also amazing about it is how this stuff stood the test of time, and a lot of it didn't get destroyed in Portugal. It's not mounds, ruins, and stuff like that, to that point where nothing can be done with it. Now, I was showing you in a future video, I actually went and explored a Roman area, like a Roman temple. Now, that was really cool. This was cool. I'm not taking anything. This was awesome. But I see in an actual Roman temple where they went and worshipped some god was really cool. Now, you see how my spouse is walking across that. Because I went to walk in there and, I about ate it, y'all, because it was just a little wet. Well, look at this. This was worth $15 for 2 adults and 1 student. It was really worth it. People here were friendly. The people that you talk with knew English. No problems. There's our little VW Golf. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. I hope this helps someone out there and motivates you to get out there, and maybe gives you an idea of some places to check out.